Hi, everyone, and welcome back to The Things We Know. I'm Lisa Callahan.
And I'm Kari Morin. Today, we are super excited to be interviewing a fellow master coach, an energy healer, meditation guide, and a best-selling author. This is Sarah V., author of 3 books so far. One is a children's book, Let Your Inner Golden Sparkle Shine. And I have a copy right here of this beautiful book, I Wish I Had Known. And you also have an upcoming book. So welcome, Sarah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me. It's kind of nice to see some, I don't want to say old faces, but because we're never old, but some familiar faces, let's say. And thank you so much for, having me in your space.
Yay.
Oh, we're so glad to have you. Yeah, I mean, because we know you from, we were all fellow
1,000 years ago
people at the Health Coach Institute, students and
before it was
coaches
even called
so
Health Coach Institute, maybe. I'm not sure.
No, I think I came in at Health Coach Institute.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say a little bit more because there's a lot, and I probably am only scratching the surface, but Sarah is a master at helping amplify financial abundance, career success, love and relationships, and health and wellness. She's an internationally sought out energy healer, meditation guide, and manifesting mentor, which I love seeing that. I see that a lot. Helping women and men live abundant, happy, and peaceful lives. She's also a proud and loving mother to 4 adult children. And we just learned this term. She's a glamorous grandmother to her soon-to-be 2nd grandchild, but already has a little grandchild that she's been loving. And she has such a powerful and inspiring story. And she's here to share all of that with our listeners who really range in age more than we thought. So this is exciting.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of hear your own story, and my goodness, like I have evolved. I love to listen to. I mean, that was like not old footage, but footage that I feel like I've expanded out of. And I mean, so many things have happened to me, as I enter my 60th, or what I call it, my sextieth year, which I turn, when this airs, I will be officially 60 years old. So, it's just lovely to hear, because I think we don't, see it enough of how much we evolve. And that, that is, like I said, some of my older, accomplishments, I guess you could say. But I love this constant expansion, even when we think in our society where we feel like we have to wear, I don't have any problem with it, but elastic jeans and, kind of the whole genre of what women our ages are, in our society we're supposed to do. And I love every single day that I'm in this openness to expanding even more. I mean, I'm having the best part of my life is ahead of me.
Well, that's our tagline. So hurrah.
Yes.
Perfect. You're the exact right guest. So let's talk about that. Again, we've known each other a long time. I don't think I am following your story. We're connected on social media, but I don't think we show up on each other's algorithms. So I'm not as familiar with the sort of arc. And yet already I know so much has changed from when I used to see you in person at our events through the Health Coach Institute. So can you tell a little of your story? Like how and when did you become a coach? What kind of coaching?
My gosh. So I don't even remember. I think I was in the class of 2017. I don't know.
Okay. Was that your become a health coach class?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Because I was too. So we might have been in the same trajectory. Okay.
18, I don't know. But anyway, it just seems so long ago. And, I feel, I'm just going to kind of use this analogy because it is actually one meditation that I've just recorded. We were kind of talking about that. But back then, I feel like I was carrying this heavy backpack of old stories and limitations. And throughout, since 2017, 2018, I feel like I have let that backpack go. And I'm now like soaring, like, almost like a weighted balloon, if you will. I love to use analogies, but like a weighted balloon. Like I feel like there was so much of my past and so many people I see as well, but we're so weighted down by our stories, whether we're carrying a heavy backpack or there's a weight on this expansive balloon that we all are. And I feel like since 2017, I have released, I would say, I mean, there's always room for more growth, but I feel like I am free from all those old stories, those limitations that used to hold me back from experiencing the most abundant and fulfilled life. So it really is, you know, you just have to sit back a little bit and really look into your life of how far, not just me, but we all have, you know, come.
What's
So,
your biggest surprise when you do that look back?
my biggest surprise is the potential I have tapped in to the things that I'm now accomplishing, where if you would have told me back in 2017 that I would be, you know, a writer, an author, taking women on, you know, expansive, you know, abundance adventures all over the world. I'm taking 8 women to Egypt in October. And, you know, I've created, you know, beautiful financial wealth, not just in my coaching, but also in other aspects of my life. As we were talking ahead of time, that I've rented my beautiful home in Rehoboth. So I'm kind of having a nomadic summer, but, you know, that has like expanded into this restorative living. I have, you know, I've created that whole persona on Instagram, and, you know, it really is like, I feel like I am in complete alignment with what I'm doing.
Love it.
I don't feel like I'm, you know, I hate labels anyway. You know, I'm a I'm a mentor. But I feel like I've expanded into so many different areas of my life that I never thought that I would be able to do. And, you know, nothing is really different except for how I'm thinking and how I've reframed all the limitations that I believe was my identity.
I'm smiling really big because I had just a little tiny window into that, like, right, like when I was seeing you speak and you're on that journey, and it's just so cool to see how far that has gone for you.
So I want to kind of take you back, because I know I was on, you know, for those of you who understand the HCI, there was a kind of a contest, I guess you could say, where it was, you know, you had to earn $10,000 in 10 weeks, and then you got the opportunity to speak on stage. And I did that. And I spoke, you know, that was one of my biggest fears, was to speak in front of not just one person, but, you know, 700, 800 people.
That was a big crowd. Yeah.
It was. And I think back to that day, and you know, and I use this beautiful analogy of, you know, the story of the Golden Buddha. And the Golden Buddha story, you know, in a short rendition is, you know, when there was a group of monks, this is a true story, in the 50s, that these monks were carrying the cement Buddha, and one of them saw a tiny crack in the Buddha, and realized that this Buddha was not just cement, but actually solid gold. And now when I think back of that story, I was just starting to kind of chisel away my own cement. And now I'm at a stage where I've kind of revealed the goldenness that is in myself and with all of us. But now I'm kind of polishing the goldenness, because it is now me. Like, that is who we all are. We're all about shining and golden, and, you know, shine like a diamond, as one of my favorite songs, you know, sing. But I feel like there is that energy in every single one of us. And my God, I don't know whether I wish I had known, you know, accordingly of my book, whether I wish I had known this early on. I don't know. I mean, that wasn't my path. But I just want to encourage other people that we are all golden. We all have that ability to find the goldenness of our, of our true potential.
Mm. It's interesting when you say that, like you entitled it, I wish I had known, and I want to get into that in a second, this beautiful book. But then you said, well, I don't, because this was my journey. But I feel like that's exactly like the wisdom we pass on to younger women, to our daughters, literally and figuratively. I only have boys, but our daughters in the world. And that, I don't know if you saw Barbie yet, but there's a beautiful line in that movie where she said, we mothers stand still so our daughters can look back and see how far they've come. And that's kind of like coming to me through your words here of, if I can pass on that wisdom, yay. I wouldn't change anything. But if I had known when I was your age,
I wouldn't change really anything. But what I wish I had known is that the fear that I felt pretty much throughout my life is now my friend. Like, I don't allow my fear to hold me back anymore. I allow it to show me the way. Like, I actually, believe it or not, but I feel my fear is actually as abundant as the love that I feel, because fear has like, okay, what is it about this that I can learn, deeper about myself? What is it showing me? Like, I have this exercise that I do when I feel fear, and it's actually called fear setting. And you actually break apart the stories that you're telling yourself. That would be another podcast for me to teach that, but it's helped me to really understand what is it that fear is trying to tell me, rather than, I still feel the fear. And, as we say in, I think HCI said, feel the fear and do it anyway. And I didn't understand that. Like, well, how can you do it anyway when you're feeling so restricted and stuck? How can you still do it anyway? But I have now been able just to be friends with fear rather than letting the fear stop me. Taking 8 women to Egypt, excuse my French, no, I won't use bad words.
Oh my God, we cuss all the fucking time.
Oh, good. Fucking scary as hell. Like, it's like, I've never been that far away. Taking people, it's all, choreographed. And by the time November comes and whenever this drops, I will have come back from there. But there is a lot of fear. And I have been like doing my fear setting and understanding, what is it that I'm actually afraid of, and how can I change that fear to actually work for me rather than hold me back. Like, I've taken women to Sedona, and I do my retreats at my home in Delaware. I've never done this before. Like, never. But I feel like I have just a completely different relationship with fear. And now it is just showing me the way to where divine, very spiritual. I'm very connected to divine. And I know, like, show me the way, show me what to do, show me where to go, show me what to say and to whom. And then and then I need to be quiet. And that's why I do so much meditation. And then I see the signs coming in, like, okay, you're so, it still feels scary, but it's like a driver now rather than like a block. I don't even know if I answered whatever question.
No, and I love that, because I think, I've said this on a couple of other pods too, but one of my biggest beliefs is when that fear, or, we learned the phrase critter brain shows up, it means you're stretching yourself. If you're staying static, right, and comfortable, then none of that shows up, right? Because you're not doing anything to change. And so I agree with you 100%. I think when you're feeling that sense of trepidation or fear, it means you're on the verge of something ginormous, and that's fantastic.
And I had the same fear of, and my fear levels have gone up.
Sure, because you're doing bigger things.
But I'm like, oh my God, like, what could be bigger than, Egypt? I don't know. It's a 10-day.
Stay tuned.
I know, right?
I know.
We'll have her back next year.
But and I think that's what I really love about myself is, this, resilience that I've
Mm.
acquired. I love that word resilient, and I have always been one that I never give up. I like, even though like sometimes I'm curled up in a ball, like, what the hell am I doing? I don't know how to do this. But I still just keep going. Like I've always just kept going. And another thing is that I am impeccable to my word. Like if I say that I'm going to do something, I don't care, whether it is, exercising every day, which is just such a part of my life, or eating really well, or whatever, or just if I say I'm going to do something, I do it, even though like my creator would say, oh, but you don't have to go, you can
Right.
stay. But
Right.
I would say when I'm on the other side, I love the fear feeling. I'm in it right now because there's just so many, so much energy in my life right now. So, but I'm doing it anyway, even though I'm like sucking my thumb in the corner. I'm like, I don't want to go. I want to stay.
Well, I mean, your book kind of gives a really good idea of some of the tools that you employed and that you're so
Yeah.
generously sharing. That's
Mhm.
kind of how you befriend that fear, that positive intention of
Yeah.
fear.
Yes,
This
exactly.
really spoke to me personally, this book. I wish I'd known because I have 3 kids. Lisa had, we have kids similar ages, 17 to 22. And oh boy, there's so much that I wish that they could learn earlier than I did, right? And it's powerful. And I admire so much, first of all, how openly you share about your journey with yourself. And I even saw a post about you, like, I was never allowed to play or never felt
No, the
allowed to
giggle. I
play.
was never allowed to giggle.
Right. Oh, giggle. That's
Wow.
right. That's what it was. And I loved how you described yourself playing with your brother until you got older. And then like that was the last time you felt like a child.
Yeah.
And what I loved is how loving you were toward your parents
Mhm.
about that. Like, hey, there's no judgment. They made their choices. I love them. They were so generous and loving. And I'm doing similar things. I'm
Mhm.
just trying to do those things differently. And my kids, that's the whole evolution.
Mm.
But what I really stood out to me was that it feels like, and this is just a huge message been coming to me in my development too, especially like through human design and other things, is you seem to zero in that healing yourself was the most loving thing you could do for your children.
The absolute 1000%. Like, I have 3 boys and a girl, and my daughter is now seeing what is possible for her because, I'm sorry, but we live in an incredibly patriarchal society.
Yeah.
And
What? You're kidding? No.
yes,
Are you serious?
and
Lisa
she
doesn't go
and
anywhere,
I'm
apparently.
I'm I am recently divorced in a loving, happy way. We're not, even though he still kind of irritates me, but in some ways. But we're very amicable. We talk, we text when, all the time, we co-parent. But she is now seeing me in a place that I wish I had seen my mom.
Mm.
Because in chapter 2, I talk about the epigenetics, how we hold on to 3 generations of unhealed pain and trauma from our childhood, not just from your parents, but, your grandparents and then them, and then the great grandparents, I guess that is. And I wish I had seen my mother step into her power because she lived in incredible scarcity. She didn't believe in herself. She was heartbroken from my father having, numerous affairs on her. She, never, I get emotional when I think about this. And, she never really tapped into her true potential. And I don't want that to happen to my daughter. Like, she's now giving me advice of what to do. And she's so, in tune. She's not spiritual, but she's so in tune about, what to do. She works in the most patriarchal area of finance. And she's, 5'3.5", but she is a tough young woman. She's gone back to school to get her master's degree. She's very focused. And, I definitely took on the energy of my mom. And this is what the cement or that heavy backpack that I carried for so long, it didn't belong to me. And so many of the things that we think is who we are doesn't belong to us. It's all energy. And I'm really teaching, but back to my daughter, is that she's now seeing me the way that I wish I had seen my mom, but my mother, and there's nothing, I mean, my mother and father did the best. I did the best that I could in, you know, I wish I had done a few things differently as a mother, but, you know, I have no, you know, I don't have anything against my parents. They did the best job that they could. You know, they were genuinely loving and caring, but there was just so many missing parts that I wish, you know, I had known more, you know. But, you know, 60, my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, lived in England. My mother was English, and she lived until she was 108. And she was still sharp as a tack. You could talk to her about remembering the Titanic. She lived by herself until she was 104, lived in an old, you know, 14th century little cottage in the south of England. So, you know, but she lived this lovely, peaceful, calm life that she lived in her garden. And I feel like, you know, I want her peace, but I want the excitement, the adventure, the fulfillment, the abundance that she didn't believe that was deserving. So yeah, so that's what kind of my next book is about. It's like I said, I don't have a title yet. It's going to download once the editors create this new kind of lifestyle, abundant lifestyle book. And it's all the stories of why we don't feel abundant in our life. You know, taking all the 5 areas of your life, you know, why don't we feel abundant in our spirituality? Why don't we feel abundance with the relationship to money? Why don't we feel abundant in our purpose, in our worthiness? And it all stems from what we're carrying from our childhood. It's not, the book is not like my I Wish I'd Known book, which is about, you know, the letting go of ancestral patterns. But this one is all about, you know, why I lived in scarcity. That doesn't mean that I was living in a tent or homeless. This just meant I was so scarce in my mind, not believing in, you know, my purpose.
I love what you just said about your daughter, because what was striking me as you were talking was, so you've written this book, Things I Wish I'd Known, and so you're looking back and you've shifted. So now your daughter's watching you. I was gonna ask earlier, but you sort of answered it as like, what would you tell your younger self? But what is jumping out at me is, so your daughter's watching you different than you got to watch your mom. So the possibilities for her, like, are mind blowing. Like, we can't even comprehend really how she's going to be at Sexty, right? Because you've shown her a new path. And you describing your mom was so similar to me, the way I describe mom. I Kari's like, if you're watching YouTube, you see her shaking your head. My mom was the same way, and didn't know how many people liked her and didn't see her worth, and was definitely had a scarcity mindset. But her mom was a narcissistic pain in the ass. And so I always was amazed at how far she came. And then I'm so much different than her. And then I see my daughter, who's 17, different, and actually showing me how to show up different in the world, watching her. You know, so I just think when you talk about breaking ancestral patterns, like, holy shitballs, like the possibilities for women going forward is endless.
It is endless. And she has been in, you know, big executive meetings with all these men. You know, like I said, she's, you know, microscopic. And she's able to hold her own. Like,
that's amazing.
She and I mean, I don't think I would, well, for one, I was a stay-at-home mom with my 4 children. And, you know, seeing her want to go into the workforce. I mean, I would never want her. you just need to follow she needs to follow her dreams. I don't think that she's doing what she really wants to do, but I think there is a bit of a patriarchy that she wants to show I call him my husband.
I love all your words.
My husband, that she is as good as her brothers. And so there is definitely
I'm sorry, I'm just loving that word so much.
I don't know. I'm like, I don't like the word X. I hate the word X. So I'm like, well, he was. Oh, there you go. He's my husband. So
I'm listening. I'm just taking all that in.
Yeah. So I just feel like she still is trying to show something to my husband. And, I don't know whether she's stepped into what she really wants to do. I mean, she's getting married in next year, and, getting married in France and a lot of that. But I just am so proud of her that she's like telling me advice about, mothering now. And I'm like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. So yeah, so she's great. We have, a very, very healthy, balanced relationship. But I wish I had been the way that I am now with her growing up, because I was just, I mean, the identity that I let go of in that backpack was that I was a failure, because anything that I did, I was a failure. You can't do this, you're a failure. So why try? Because you're a failure. Because that is what my mom thought. I mean, I did this whole exploration of my mom, and she believed that she was a failure. So in that I Wish I'd Known book, I talk about my writing career that I didn't want to do. And she never had the opportunity to fulfill her dreams. So she lived through me. Yep. So I basically sucked at writing, and I hated it, but I did it because she wanted me to do it. And that was the way that if I did it, that complex equivalent, like if I do this, then I will feel more love for her. So it was from her. So it was very conditional. I don't even remember where I was going.
With that, I mean, we're going in the weeds, and I won't go into this deeply, but that's family table right there, right? Taking on the wounds of and the stories of your family. And again, for those of you who don't have a clue what I'm saying, it's a thing at HCI. But I mean, that's it in a nutshell, right? Taking that on and carrying it.
When I remember studying that in HCI, I didn't really get it. Like, okay, what does that mean? But after doing all this, it's like, oh, I get it now. Why was I thinking I was a failure? Because it's, our thoughts are energy, and energy we hold in our bodies, and we connect to that through the umbilical cord, and it's energy, and we hold on to 3 generations. I'm like, that makes so much sense. Like, I felt like, oh my God, this doesn't belong to me. I can let go of it. It's not who I am. But, tell that to other people. And I'm trying to, I know my daughter most likely has connected to, especially from my husband, who is unwilling to look deeper into himself. So, and everything's fine. He had a perfect childhood. He always told me I had a perfect childhood. I'm like, okay.
Good for you.
But I think for everyone it's true, but for women, I think that some of our earliest lessons in empathy is like, I can sense my mother's or father's pain, so I'm going to hold on to it for them and make it better, which isn't logical, but it's exactly how we learned that occurs, right? Like this generous intention that, like, if I could hold that for you, then we can play, and we can, then we can have a good,
and all this pain. I mean, obviously, if we look at what we were identifying with as an adult, we can say, oh, that doesn't make sense. But as a child, you believe that has to be a part of you. Oh, okay. So I'll take on that, and trauma, really, it doesn't have to be, sexual or physical trauma.
No.
Emotional trauma, I think it is as traumatizing to a child as a slap on the face or inappropriate touch. Like, you just don't understand that, trauma is trauma, and to a child, trauma is different from what we allow anybody to do to us now. Like, if anybody treated me the way that I felt like I was treated as a child now, you better watch out, because there is no, I have such good boundaries with people. Like, no, you don't get to, but it's because I'm an adult and I've,
Done this
I,
work. Yeah.
what's that?
And you've done this work.
Yeah, I've done
Yeah.
the work, and my inner child, and that was what my first book was all about, Let Your Inner Golden Sparkle Shine. That was actually the character on the book is actually me as a 6-year-old. And when I did so much inner work with my inner child, that was kind of like the celebratory book that I wrote for her. She was
that.
completely different. And when I healed my inner child, everything started to change. Like that, I think the inner child work is the most important, for me anyway, is one of the most important things that you can actually do, is to, allow her to not, because she's the one connected to fear and anxiety and stress and not worthy and all that. So I've done a lot of inner child work as well. So again, I don't even remember what the question was.
I don't either, but I love it. And, I'm going to interject here for a second and just say, like, remind me, Kari, I think you coached Sarah, right? When she was going through mastery. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, a couple times, a few times.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Sarah, you and I really, we were two ships that passed at events. Like, I definitely
I always loved your style. I'm like, because I'm all about, clothes, and so I just loved all your glasses. Like, she looks so fun. Anyway.
Thank you. No, but so what I want to say is, even though we don't know each other well, I am just really want to acknowledge what I thought I knew, or you are 100% fucking different than what I remember. And I just, and I know you know that, but I want to say it to you that I see it. I see it. It's so completely different. Like, as we're talking and I'm looking at you here on screen and I'm thinking, gosh, I remember you in rooms, or specifically at retreats, not at the big events, but at the smaller events. And being up and, participating. And now that I see you, like, I didn't realize how dim your light was.
I had no light. Like, I had no, that's why Let Your Inner Golden Sparkle Shine is, remembering that as a child, we all have that light within us. And I didn't have a light. I didn't think that I even had a match to light the light inside of me, because I was so filled with somebody else's pain.
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't have a tumultuous childhood, but I was so connected to my mom and also to my father as well. I can't dismiss him either and blame it all on my mom. But
I love that. I love that that now, but I guess what's striking me is we're not talking that long. We're talking 5-6 years, right? And how much has changed. And I guess I just want to say that out loud, not only to honor you and your journey, but to sort of put it out into the universe for anyone that's listening. Like, you might be carrying this heavy backpack of cement around, and you can break it apart if you do the work, if you find the person that can guide you down that journey.
Everybody can do it, but we have to understand, that it is not easy, and it is not easy, and
it's not for wimps, I always say.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's not for wimps.
I have done so much, gut-wrenching weeping and feeling all the pain. Again, I can feel like it coming up. Like, I have been committed every single solitary day for the past 5 years to do something, journal, meditate, all the things that I share in my I Wish I'd Known book are all the things that I have done for myself. Like people are so impatient. Like I years ago, I had somebody come in. It's like, well, how long is this going to take? I don't know. What are you willing to do? Everybody wants a quick fix. Everybody doesn't want, people, start out with like, oh yeah, this is great. And then after the third week, it's just like, oh, I have no time to meditate. It's like, well, I'm sorry, but you have to, I'm sorry. I don't like to use the word half, but you have to do it every single day. It is not going to be, somebody isn't going to fix it for you. And
it's not a snap.
I'm in this, I'm still like, sometimes the fear comes in, the stress, the anxiety, like, oh, I don't know what to do. But I know what it is. Like, I know that it's because I'm doubting myself, or that I'm not believing that I can do what it is, this new ascension. And, I've been healing my financial story. Because now I'm now on my own, making financial decisions. And now in 55 years, I have never done that. And now I am like making big decisions about investing in myself. I could barely write a check for, the tuition for HCI. And now I'm like, oh boy, okay, here it goes. Like, and doing it all myself without asking for permission, or, so I literally have that's, I believe that transformation has been something that I have really done. Like, I've transformed who I was. I'm still the same person, but my mind is different. The energy that I carry is different. The belief system is different. But I am in an ascension right now, and it's uncomfortable, but I'm okay with it. I can always buy a cute outfit and I'll feel better.
I love it.
My perspective from what Lisa said, because I wasn't a classmate of yours, and I got just these lovely little windows of, like, to your point, you showed up for yourself. You had like this isn't that different than what you were showing me and what you wanted and what you believed was possible for yourself. And so it's really exciting to hear that it has been such transformation, because, sure, I was coaching you once you'd gotten yourself on stage. I didn't know you before that. But when I think of what you were looking under the rock for, like what you were really fighting for, you did show up, you did do the work. It was, completely a lot of self-coaching on your part, a lot of exploration, a lot of not settling. And that's powerful to me to hear that, and to hear you say that for yourself, because I think when you can picture it for yourself, it is possible. So for people who don't, who kind of want it to be done to them or for them, that's not how it works.
Well, I appreciate you seeing that in me. And, I say that, when I was, working with you, I knew that there was a possibility of something different. I am now living in the possibility. Like, I am living what I thought was possible.
That's giving me chills.
So good.
It's just like, holy shit. Like, no, I'm actually living what I thought that I could do 3 years or 5, 17, whenever mathematics that is. 6 years ago, I don't even know that woman, but it is like I'm living in the possibility of what I thought I could do. And does it, but sometimes, the critter brain, as we say, gets in the way, like, yeah, you haven't really done anything, I have to be, my mentor has to remind me that over and over, because I get into this pattern, like, ugh, nothing's happening, nothing, I haven't really done anything. And then she's like, so I have to do this, this win streak. She does, Sarah Cannell. So that's who I've been working with, but we do these win streaks. Like, I have to every single morning write down all the things that I have, changed or, manifested. And then I'm like, then I have to show my critter brain or my ego, like, no, look at this, look what I've done. It's like, okay, all right, I'll let you slide on that one. But usually it's something, well, you haven't really done anything, and you haven't really. I don't really believe in that I haven't really changed, because I know that I have.
Yeah.
Sometimes we slip back into that imprint of who we thought we were.
Yes.
It sounds
Again,
like
I think that happens when we're making big changes. You know, it's like that 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And I say this to my clients all the time, like, just because the attaining of something or the knowing of something doesn't mean you're not going to fall backwards sometimes. And
Oh.
that's okay. But it's catching yourself and getting back on track that is the win.
Yeah.
You didn't fail because you fell back a couple of steps. You
Yes.
win because you recognize it and move forward.
But there is no way that you can go back. Like you cannot go back. You can think about that. You think that you're going back, but you cannot go back energetically. You can't do that.
True.
So, and people are like, yeah, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm just right back to, I had this lovely client who's 77, and she keeps saying, I'm not getting anywhere. And I'm like, okay, so do you believe in this still? No. What about that? No. Okay. So you really are, moving forward, but it's amazing what we can convince ourselves.
Yep.
We're not, doing anything, achieving anything, because it's just a way that your ego wants to hold you into that old story.
Yep.
And, I always say it's death to the old story, where it's, trying to keep you there so it can still survive and live in the darkness and the grunginess of, of life. So
that's some seriously unshakable belief. I love that. Somebody once gave me, what I really learned later was a compliment, that I was dissatisfied, that I was always like wanting to change things about the world or to have things be better. And you have the kind of dissatisfied that like didn't give up until you knew, you can make it be possible. And that's really powerful.
Yeah. And I think, the beauty that came out of my writing story, which I didn't want to do, is actually it taught me how to keep going, because I was in a very top level horse competitions, and I just kept going no matter what, until the incident where you read in chapter 1, where I pretended that I fell off.
Yes.
So but I kept going, because I really believe that if I kept going, if I could make my mom proud of me, then I would feel loved, rather than knowing it's never going to come from something on the outside. We have to be the energy that, and this is what I'm all about, is like, you need to be the energy that you want to attract. And I didn't understand that either. If you want to be abundant, if you want abundance in your life, if you want fulfillment, you have to feel abundant and fulfilled within yourself, your worthiness, through self-care or whatever it is. If you want love, you have to be it. I am, your inner feeling is your magnet, is like my tagline.
So you've already said you're getting ready to turn 60. And for those of you who don't know what that means, 60.
60.
And you've shared so much wisdom already, but if there's one extra piece that you'd want to share with someone who is 30, 40, even us 50s. I mean, that's the thing. Kari sort of referenced this at the beginning, but for us, we're kind of surprised at how many 30-year-olds are listening and using this as a roadmap. And so as someone who is, well, by the time they hear this, you will be solidly sexy.
Solidly sexy.
What one other little nugget would you like to share?
Oh my God, I hate these questions. It's like there's so
I know
much.
there's so many nuggets. Well, they could follow you and read all your books.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So for one, and I know that we're kind of sharing our things, our song lines, but it's even when you're 30 or 40, 50, whatever it is, what are you waiting for? Like, what is it that you're waiting for to make it okay to find your true potential? What? Because you get to 60. I mean, I don't know why I get so emotional about this, is because we wait And we don't know how long on this earth that we're going to live. And
Yep.
I don't want to have any freaking regrets. I don't want to not be the model for my children. And, don't be, and I think that, I mean, there's so many things. I think it is about failure too. Like, don't be afraid to fall.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to feel the failure, because there isn't anything. They always say, failure is only when you stop trying.
Yep.
I think believing in, the wings and, flying, living your life the most abundantly. I don't care what age you are. It's what are you waiting for? What is it? Because it's not going to go away. So why not do it when you're in your 30s and 40s?
Yeah.
I'm doing it. I'm hoping, God willing, divine willing, that I will have the life that my grandmother lived.
Yeah.
But I have this rest of my life. I have more energy now than I did when I was in my 30s. Like I'm just full of this natural energy. So the little nugget is, what are you waiting for? Like,
I love that. It's a great question. Every time you start to go down that path, that spiral of I'm not enough, what have I accomplished, blah, blah, blah. What am I waiting for? Like, just take that moment and ask that question.
Love it.
What am I waiting? Am I waiting to not feel fear? Am I waiting until the perfect time and where my, as you can see, my hair, that your hair looks perfect? Are you waiting for, I don't know, like,
Be a certain weight. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going to come unless you take the chance and the actions right this moment. It's
Yep.
not going to come, and it's not going to be easy. I don't want to sugarcoat all this stuff that I've been through. It's not going to be easy, but the easy is like, oh my God, so much growth.
Yeah.
Oh, my follow-up to that, because I really do want people to get your book, in terms of, in addition to meditation, which I want to ask you one last follow-up about that. You give some excellent tools about some of those big things, like fear, feeling alone, anxiety, anger, like really good tools that you've taught your children that clearly you've worked through yourself. But back to the meditation piece, and as a follow-up to that, you saying it's, what are you waiting for? Figure it out. You break it down and make it so much easier than I think a lot of people find it. And yeah, we as coaches, we hear people like, I should meditate, I don't, and I don't, people, I think, naturally, and I'm not making fun of them. I was one of those once, like they make it harder than it needs to be.
I don't have time to meditate is the one line. Okay.
I had a friend that used to say, do you go to the bathroom? And then somebody say, that's when you can meditate. Yeah.
And it doesn't, there's a whole section on that meditation
Yeah.
thing. That is the first step with if you're going to take anything away today, just start 5 minutes. 5 minutes every single day. Do it for 7 days. And if you're great, then increase it to 10. It doesn't have to be so complicated that you have to be on some mountain in, Tibet with monks surrounding you with, going, you just have to do, like you said, if you have, a good bowel, do
That's
it.
Plenty of time.
Plenty of time.
I love you have one in here called Room in Your Head meditation. It's a tiny bit similar to something I do, but it was exciting for me to look at this and think like, oh, I want my children to try this. I think
the audio book, because of course you can't really read while you're meditating, but I've recorded, which I'm putting on my website, sarahv.com, a portal of all my favorite meditations, which are actually going into high-end hotels. I was telling you about that. So they're all beautifully, I'm like, wow, I actually did my meditation, my morning meditation. It's, my morning meditation, sleep meditation, and then a rejuvenation one. And I'm like, oh, who is this lady? I kind of like.
That's so cool.
She's kind of cool.
Like, you're turning sexty from 50 fine. You look and feel better than ever. Meditation works, people. It works.
Is the bomb. Yeah.
Oh man.
So you have a book event in Paris?
I've already gone and
oh, nice.
It was a couple weeks ago.
Congratulations.
We did a book signing on the River Seine and like a floating bookstore, which was really fun.
That's cool.
950 degrees, but it was, and they don't have any air conditioning.
No.
so hot.
Well, so what, other than, again, the new book will probably be out by the time this releases, but what's next for you?
What it well is the scary trip to Egypt.
Oh, Egypt, yep.
So that's coming up. But actually one other thing that's coming up is that I have just developed a hummus brand. It's called Hummus Daddy, and it's actually hummus that is that actually heals your 7 chakras. So it's all colored. So I have red, incredibly delicious beet hummus, red, but it goes red, orange, yellow, green. Those are my 4 hummuses, and they all have
cool
flavors that actually can then heal. I can't say heal, I have to say restore our energy centers through food, through color. So Hummus Daddy is just about to launch. We just got our first contract with a health club in Baltimore. So we're excited. It's me and my I don't know, you call him my boyfriend, no, lover, partner,
gentleman friend.
Gentleman.
We got to come up with some
Like,
new goddamn words.
Yeah, I'm going to leave that to you, Sarah. You have perfect.
Yeah,
words
you've
for
got
everybody.
you're making up the best words.
Lover, because he's Hummus Daddy, and then I'm going to be making little juice shots, and then I'm going to be Juicy Mama. So we have Hummus Daddy LLC and Juicy Mama.
Oh my God, I love it so much.
So maybe
he's your business daddy.
He's my business daddy. Many other things, but he's the chef and he's the one creating. He's the creator. I don't know. What do you call it at 60 years old? Like boyfriend? No.
Man friend? I don't know. I mean, there's something about that in Sex and the City, right? Where it's like with Big and Kari, where it's like, what do you call me at that age? I don't know.
Manny. I love
Manny. I love Manny.
That's awesome.
Oh my God. We'll figure this out.
Yeah.
So you have your song.
Yeah, let's talk about your song.
So my song. So my favorite song that I was listening to with my Glammy was listening to with her little 3-year-old granddaughter is Melissa Montgomery, Believe in Yourself, because I think this is what I wish I had known. Believing in yourself when there's nobody else, you know how to survive. Take your hand, take your heart, don't lose your faith. When you feel alone in the dark, believe in yourself. And I wish I had known to do that, because there is nothing else. If you don't believe in yourself, no one is going to be able to fix it for you. So yeah,
absolutely. Oh my God, those are great lyrics.
That's so great.
So we're gonna have all your links, and again, by the time this comes up, so many more things will have already been in fruition. So we'll have all the links in our social media. We'll be sending all of that out. I'm so glad that you came and visited with us.
I feel like
coming, but I'm very happy that we finally connected.
Yeah.
Thank you. I feel like we need to have you back for
maybe
something about getting people unstuck or working through fear.
Unstuck, yes, and I can talk about my trip to Egypt.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. That'll definitely be like, how'd you get through that fear? It's exciting. Well, thank you so much. It's been so inspiring.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I guess that's it for this week's episode of The Things We Know. Again, thank you to Sarah V. You'll see all of her links, and we'll be talking about her all week on our social media. And then next week, we're going to return with the final episode in this little trifecta, and we'll be talking to one of my friends, Sherry Turner.
I'm sure you found this inspiring, because we did. And so we just encourage you to share this episode with anybody. Anyone listening, please share this with a friend. And as always, be sure to like and follow the pod and wherever you listen to pods, so you won't miss an episode.
Thanks, everyone. We'll be back next week.
Bye.
Great.